Every year or so you might get your car serviced, go on holiday, file your taxes, but much more importantly, are you checking your O-rings? This video is going to be an important one, especially for Breville owners. Alright, maybe not as important as some of those other things, but for the sake of coffee I guess anyway, it is still important. Unless of course you want your machine looking like this, and costing you an arm and leg to fix. So if you don't want that, let's start with some simple things you can watch out or listen for on your machine to catch this problem early, and prevent water damage causing havoc with the insides of your dual boiler or auricle. Then we're going to discuss exactly what type and sizes you need to buy. Then finally, I'll show you how you can take apart your machine and carry out some simple maintenance on some of the troublesome areas. So with that, let's get started. The most common sign of leaking O-rings is usually a hissing sound. You can usually hear this on the top right hand side. This is where the top of the steam boiler is, and these are the most common O-rings to fail. This is because they are working under a much higher temperature than the others. Next up are water leaks. Your O-rings might be that bad that they are letting out water inside the machine. You may see this coming out onto the bench top or around the hot water outlet. If this water is getting into areas where high voltage is, then your mains fuse might be tripping out too. Another symptom might be a constant gurgling noise. This can also be an indication that you have an air leak somewhere, causing the coffee boiler to overheat the water. Finally, you may just not hear anything, but slowly, over the course of a year or two, you may well have a small leak that is slowly rotting away the inside of your machine. So, the thing to remember is to listen to your machine, and if you hear any signs of a leak, get it booked in for a service or repair it yourself using this video and others on my channel. Also, if you're confident enough, it's a good idea to take off the lid every 6 months or so and take a look. Okay, so what size O-rings and type do you need to buy? It's really important to get this right. I see so many machines come in that have the wrong size or material fitted, and inevitably they have started to leak prematurely. Well, in terms of sizing, then the most common two sizes you'll need are BS7s and BS10s. I'll leave a link in the description that gives these exact sizes. The BS7s are used throughout the machine, so it's a good idea to buy a pack of at least 20 or so to cover you for the future. The larger BS10s are used for the water level probes, and you'll only need 3 for the steam boiler, then a couple more for the coffee boiler. Depending on the age of your machine, you might find some or all of the steam boiler ports fitted with a more robust compression fitting. These last a lot longer than the older silicone types. Now let's talk about what material you should be looking for. Personally, unless you're interested in experimenting with other materials, I would say stick to what Breville use for the most part, as they are easier to buy. The small red ones are regular food grade silicone, and the larger ones suggest, from their blue colour, they could be fluorosilicone, but I'm not 100% on this. Regular silicone has a slightly higher temperature range, so I'm not sure why they wouldn't use silicone. This is what I use, and for now I think silicone will be just fine for most of the seals in the machine. There are 1 or 2 exceptions that I'll cover in other videos. Viton looks like a good potential replacement, so that's an option. AF last 2. I've heard people say these last around 5 years, but I would say stay away from the nitrile ones. I've seen people recommend these, but I don't think they work well in these sorts of temperatures. If you found another material that is food grade and you think is a better option, then let me know in the comments below. So with that, I think we're armed with enough information now, so let's take the lid off the machine and then check over and change our O-rings. So with the lid off, the first thing I do is power up the machine and wait until it reaches temperature. Be extra careful here, as there are a few areas with mains voltage running through, particularly around the top of the coffee boiler and the solenoid. Then leave the machine running for 5 or 10 minutes or so to let it get nice and hot. Run off some shots, use the steam wand a few times, and watch out for any signs of bubbling or hissing around the steam boiler parts in particular. If there are no obvious signs, or maybe you're just doing your 6 monthly check, then switch the machine off at the wall, then go around each of the ports like this using a plastic spoon. Any subtle leaks should show up on the spoon as condensation. If you're all good, then great. If not, then let's go through how to replace them. I suggest anytime you have one leak, then always replace the rest of the same type, as they usually wear out together. The process is pretty straightforward. You wait for the machine to cool down, then remove each hose clip to release the hose. Use whatever tool you have to remove the O-rings. I personally use the lockpick tool. Here you can see the difference between a new and an old O-ring. You can see the older one's less glossy and looks a lot drier. There are a couple of things to note. Firstly, the two hoses on the heat exchanger should both have two O-rings and a washer on them. The one on the bypass valve above the pump should also have a washer with a single O-ring. You can get by without the washers, as I see so many machines come in without them, as they're very easy to lose, but I suspect you'll get more life out of the O-rings if you have one. At the time of doing this video, I'm trying to source some. If I manage to find some, I'll put a link in the description. The larger probe seals don't seem to wear so quickly, but I like to take the probes out anyway and give them a good clean, as they scale up very easily, which can then cause other problems. You can see the scale on the tip of this one. So let's give them a clean up with some fine grade wet and dry. That's looking better. Now I'll just go around the rest of these ports, replacing the O-rings and applying some new grease. I hope you enjoyed this video. Spending an hour or so doing this every 6 months will not only extend the lifespan of the machine, but it will also give you more confidence each time to carry out other repairs that you'll find on this channel. Please help the channel grow if you can by liking, leaving a comment and subscribing. I have so many ideas in my head for other videos, but I'm trying to slow myself down more and spend more time improving the editing to make them less boring for you. So with that, thanks for watching.